Good morning. Adam Taxin here at the historic Manlove Homestead, where I believe John and Elmira Homestead in maybe the 1860s decided that they liked this area, and instead of going all the way to Oregon, I guess, they stayed here. I'm in East Helena, Montana, in something called the Prickly Pear Valley. It is snowing very lightly right now, not that cold. Well, it's a little cold, especially compared to what you all are experiencing back east and in the southeast this winter, but it's not brutal. It is snowing, so we're not really getting a sunset, so I'm not bothering with an eastern view. I will give you a better view of the area when I'm done this, but in the meantime, let me just do my sunrise report. All right, Tim Kaine's son, a social justice warrior, arrested last night in Minnesota. First of all, you got to see the photo of this guy. Sometimes a picture does say 1,000 words, and the picture of this guy certainly should. This is from the St. Paul Pioneer Press. Again, you really need to see the picture. Social justice warrior. He's got the long social justice warrior hair, which indicates what a deep and original thinker he must be, and such pretty eyes. You know, Tim Kaine's very sensitive and interrupting, but I don't know about where he stands on interrupting, but you just have to see the picture. Doesn't particularly look like Tim Kaine. He is the youngest son of U.S. Senator Tim Kaine, obviously Crooked Hillary's running mate. He was one of 6 people arrested during a rally in support. He was a counter-protester, arrested during a rally in St. Paul at the Minnesota State Capitol on behalf of President Trump. Now his name is Linwood, that's right, Linwood Michael Kaine. He's 24. They were arrested on suspicion of second-degree riot after the March for Trump, which of course was on March 4 in St. Paul. A 6th person was cited for disorderly conduct. The counter-protesters clashed with Trump supporters in the Capitol Rotunda because those counter-protesters were attempting to disrupt the proceeding, and they had air horns, whistles, and chants. At one point, someone set off a smoke bomb. Now, a little bit more about Linwood Kaine. He is a Carleton College graduate who lives in Minneapolis, and he goes by Woody. Woody. There's a bar named Woody in Philadelphia. It's not really, well, the rainbow flag is prominent there. I don't think Linwood Kaine is in that direction, though. But he was released from the Ramsey County Jail yesterday morning, pending further investigation. Here's what I love from the article. Again, is from the St. Paul paper. Woody Kaine is one of 3 children of Tim Kaine and his wife Ann Holton. An older son named Nat is a Marine serving overseas, and he was, quote, more visible during the presidential campaign. So apparently they were trying to hide Woody Kaine. About the rally from the article, this was Saturday afternoon, several hundred Trump supporters, March for Trump, blah, 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 about 400 Trump supporters and about 50 counter demonstrators. Speeches had been going on for about a half hour inside the newly remodeled Capitol Rotunda when a group of people, which included Tim Kaine's son apparently, just tried to disrupt the event. Someone set off a smoke bomb, which apparently hit a woman in the head. She saw something coming toward her, tried to avoid it, but it struck her in the forehead. According to a police spokesman, she was not injured, and it was not clear who threw the bomb. There were security guards that intervened, skirmishes broke out, and someone sprayed chemical irritant into the crowd. Some counter-demonstrators dispersed, and the rally resumed. Now, Linwood Woody Kaine was seen with 4 people who lit fireworks inside the Capitol. Police are investigating whether Kaine was one of the people who lit the devices. So I guess this goes a little bit further than his father's preferred method of interruption, which you saw kind of pathetically during the debates a few months ago. Now, of course, I wanted to see comments to the article. In this case, I went to where this article was posted on freerepublic.com, and here's what some people had to say. The nut doesn't fall far from the tree. He's rioting at 24? What a great future young Kaine has. Years ahead of him in jails all over the country. Guess he can't get one of those $600,000 a year, don't worry about showing up for work jobs like Chelsea, or I'm the only intern in the world with a limousine like the Obama daughter. I think Chelsea actually may have gotten more than that for some of her so-called jobs. The NBC, maybe for the hedge fund. Maybe what does she get for the Clinton Foundation, which I think is even part-time. More comments. Creepy POS, just like his old man. Too bad the cops didn't smack him around real good. Linwood is probably pissed because he was looking forward to living in the basement at #1 Observatory Circle. Someone else writes, "Do you know who I am?" Moment. The master of "Do you know who I am?" by the way, is John Kerry, who by the way served in Vietnam. Other comments: looks stoned out of his gourd. You can look at the picture and see for yourself. Shouldn't be hard to find. St. Paul Pioneer Press. Look at the story on Linwood Kaine. Other political sons who've been arrested: Patrick Kennedy, who was driving under the influence of Ambien; Howard Dean's son for country club burglary, and Al Gore's son on suspicion of drugs. A little more background information here. Linwood Kaine's mother was the daughter of Linwood Holton, the first Republican governor of Virginia. Oh, that's interesting. I never even knew Kaine's father-in-law was governor. Wow. Democrats love him because he was about as Republican as John Lindsay or William Milliken. Those are a little more obscure. Maybe they mean John McCain or Lindsey Graham, though they are conservative on some issues. I was wondering if anyone could post the clip of ABC's red-eyed reporter Martha Raddatz bawling and caterwauling on live TV election night because she had asked Tim Kaine whether his other kid in the Marines, as though no one else has ever been, could serve under Trump as commander-in-chief, and Kaine said he couldn't. I wonder if she will ask Kaine whether Linwood can clean the toilets as an inmate of the federal detention center in St. Paul, knowing that Trump is overall head of the federal prison system. And two more comments to end this article. He looks a bit like Jeb Bush in that picture. And then finally, those ears equals prison love handles. Okay, now this from Kennedy McGovern. Kennedy, you've been making great contributions lately. Really appreciate it, and I think other people are enjoying them as well, so keep up the good work in North Carolina. But it's just a commentary on what's going on right now. The snow's coming down a little harder, by the way. Hopefully you can see it. Experience some snow if you're in a place that hasn't seen too much this winter. From Kennedy McGovern: after all of these years, we finally have the power to repeal the dog that is Obamacare. And the same jackasses that refused to stand up to Obama for 6 years after being sent to Washington to do so are going to blow it. They have put together a new bill that does not repeal it at all, but by all accounts makes it worse. This fear of taking away any candy given by Democrat administrations, known affectionately as the ratchet effect, is exactly what the libtards were counting on when they wrote their pig bill in 2009. I am so damn bored with these weak-kneed Republicans. They're sitting in their offices in Washington, D.C. in fear of a party that has been thrown out of all levels of government. They just can't shake it. It is as if they are addicted to the fear to the point where they live in it long after the threat has been removed. Now, clearly no sunrise today, by the way. Well, snow and sunrises are not really compatible. Anyhow, continuing with what Kennedy McGovern wrote. They just can't shake it. It is as if they are addicted to the fear to the point where they live in it long after the threat has been removed. So here is what is going to happen. President Trump is a no bullshit guy. He's going to see this pig and he is going to veto it. Fast forward a little while, and what we know is that most presidents lose congressional seats during their first midterm. The majority on the Senate is paper thin, so we are probably going to lose the Senate. By the time they get a proper repeal together, we won't have the votes in the Senate to pass it, and the very law that you've been voting to strike down for the past 6 years is going to remain the law of the land. You have spoken. You have spoken loudly and repeatedly. You started speaking when you sent Scott Brown to fill Ted Kennedy's seat in order to stop Obamacare. You have not stopped speaking since. Your GOP, unfortunately, does not give a damn what you think or what you want. That, my friends, is the real state of your union. Now, Keith Levenberg, who I also mention a lot here, he's very helpful and contributes a lot, and you're welcome to contribute too. Keith Levenberg writes this to me, this being the quote in particular he is focused on. Here's the utterly predictable pattern. This is from an article, which I'll get to in a minute, or a column. Spazzy Dems freak out about some imagined atrocity by a conservative, then within a few hours, it becomes clear that the alleged offender did nothing wrong, while conservatives scour the web and start showing how Democrat hacks are on record doing exactly the same thing times a zillion. That's from an article called You can tell what leftists are doing by what they accuse conservatives of doing. It's by someone named Kurt Schlichter at townhall.com. And I'll read you some of it, the early part of it, and then if you like it, I'll tease you into, you'll be teased into going to townhall.com and reading the article called What You Can Tell What Leftists Are Doing by What They Accuse Conservatives of Doing by Kurt Schlichter at, hold on, I had to wipe this, at townhall.com. Okay, here's how it starts. Suddenly, the Democrats are coming out against their classic moves like cavorting with Russians to hack American elections and perjury, like you need a link. So who knows which of their foundational principles they will pull a 180 on and betray next? Climate scams? Free money for deadbeats? Jane Fonda? But they don't really mean it. Hell, without perjury, they could never testify to anything. If you want to know what the liberals are up to, just listen to the lies they're telling about conservatives. They used to be able to get away with it too, but thanks to the interwebs Al Gore invented between buffet deep dives and sweaty masseuse groups, the political playing field for liberal liars is now covered in rakes. Lying is what they do because that's all they have left on the left. They have no foundational principles except power. Their entire ideology is transactional. It's not based on ideas, but on payoffs to Democrat subsets. Here's some dough for the baby crunching industry. We'll hassle some Christian bakers for the SJWs, social justice warriors. Let's put a bunch of cis-het males. I don't even know what that means, by the way. CIS-HET. Cis means like normal, right? Or are we not allowed to say normal? Or some think we're not allowed to say normal, but I have no idea what het is. But anyhow, let's put a bunch of cis-het males on power who don't even listen to NPR out of work in West Kentucky or wherever they grow coal to delight our global warming cultist pals. But today, the Democrats hold no levers of power, and they can't dispense goodies anymore. All they can do now is howl, whine, and lie, and try to mobilize the parasites burrowed into the federal bureaucracy to undercut the will of normal Americans. They do this by falsely accusing us and those who represent us of doing exactly what they are doing and what they intend to do once Trump is ousted. Their goal is to seize power again and permanently disenfranchise us, and they are happy to take the risk of literally ripping the country apart. The media is, of course, a willing and eager accomplice in this coordinated campaign of deception and slander. Notice how no one in the mainstream media pointed out how the Sessions perjury lie conveniently appeared simultaneously across the entire media just when the Democrats desperately needed to shift the narrative from their utter humiliation by Trump's terrific joint address. The media hacks never mentioned it because they were part of it. The Beat Boys skeletons to the David S. Pumpkins of progressivism. The left and its media problem, however, is that the new information reality means that they can start a controversy, but they can't control it. Amen to that, by the way. And here's the passage I mentioned before. Here is the utterly predictable pattern. Again, spazzy Dems freak out about some imagined atrocity by a conservative, then within a few hours it becomes clear that the alleged offender did nothing wrong, while conservatives scour the web and start showing how Democrat hacks are on record doing exactly the same thing times a zillion. That's the key. The media can no longer guide the lie to destroy the target. Well, I guess, I aspire to be part of that. Hopefully a lot of you will keep watching. I'll keep doing it. But anyhow, go on. The internet lets us have a say and to grab the wheel. Oh no, Jeff Sessions talked to a Russian, then didn't bring it up when not asked about it. Oh, we Democrats would never do that, except thanks to us conservatives and a president who's willing to punch back twice as hard. Thanks to us conservatives, here come the photos of Schumer sharing a cup of Joe Stalin, of Schumer and Ivan, or however you pronounce it, a Russian guy, generic Russian guy. Schumer and Ivan sharing a cup of Joe Stalin here, and here's Pelosi partying with some Ruskies after denying it, and then the State Department turns out to have arranged it. And for the love of Gaia, someone shut down that internet machine because it never forgets. Well, that's enough of the column to whet your appetite. Again, thank you, Keith Levenberg, for turning me onto that like you do with so many articles. You have a great track record with me. Again, it's if you can tell what leftists are doing by what they accuse conservatives of doing. It's by Kurt Schlichter at townhall.com. Wait, the last paragraph, I want to get to that. It sums it up all well. There's a lot more that I'm not getting to, but you should read that. Here's the last part. Watch the liberals. Listen to what they say, because their lies and their slanders are a roadmap to their plans for the future. Straightforward from here, Given the chance, they absolutely intend to impose the kind of quasi-fascist rule they falsely accuse Trump of contemplating. But their problem is that we now recognize their lies, and we see the end game, and the collapse of the media gatekeepers mean they no longer can keep us blind and isolated. So when they lie, we are going to throw their hypocrisy right back in their withered, pruny faces, and there's nothing they can do to shut us up. Sorry, you lying sacks of socialism. We're not about to let you rip our country apart. Once more, go look at the original column. It's called, "You Can Tell What Leftists Are Doing by What They Accuse Conservatives of Doing." It's by Kurt Schlichter, and it's at townhall.com. All right, one more thing today. I'm getting cold and wet. The sacrifices I make for you all. This is from Giovanni Baricelli, a name I'm mentioning a lot. He has a new site called Punch News, and you can find it at punchnews.blogspot.com. I quote it directly. He has permission to use the articles verbatim, but eventually, hopefully, he'll get to a big enough place and be making enough money, because he's really good at this, that he'll say, you know what, only give me teasers. Only give teasers out there, but you should check it out. thepunchnews.blogspot.com. And here is his piece in its entirety from, I think, Friday. So some of the things may be dated now. A little dated, but the issues will keep going on forever. It's called "The Republicans Don't Fight Back." Here's what he writes. George Orwell, real name Eric Arthur Blair, a well-known believer in socialism, is best known for his book 1984, a book on anarchy and totalitarianism. Well, his book seems to be coming to fruition. After yesterday's attacks, that's last week's attacks at this point, by the New York Times on Attorney General Jeff Sessions on his involvement with the Russians, I was like many, many Americans. I thought, here we go again. To be honest, I couldn't be more sick and tired of the Democrats' attempt to overthrow President Donald J. Trump. What sickens me more is the bowing down to whatever damned accusation they throw at President Trump without in retort of fighting back. You have senators like Darrell Issa, Republican from California, and Republican Congressman Jason Chaffetz. By the way, I learned something interesting. I didn't know he was raised Jewish. He became Mormon after going to BYU on a football scholarship. He was the kicker there, and a very good one, by the way. Just learned that yesterday. Okay, but like Issa and Chaffetz bowing down, not only bowing down, but caving into the Democrats. Now, I could understand Senators McCain and Graham trying to be sneaky. We all know they are neocon pieces of crap. But come on, people, use your common sense. It was obvious that Attorney Sessions, prior to his confirmation at the hearings, was being grilled about his working as a Trump surrogate, and if anyone as a Trump surrogate contacted Russia. They obviously knew there was a time when, at the time, Senator Sessions walked off the stage after a speech and briefly spoke to a Russian ambassador. They knew it. They know it all. They're dripping it out whenever they see fit. Well, after the wonderful speech President Trump had on Tuesday, this was certainly time for the drip. But gee darn it, I am sick and tired of the fact that Republicans are unwilling to fight back. Why is this? Why is it that only us can see this? It's as plain as day. We see that the Democrats are going to try and fight President Trump every single step of the day. Today, they even fabricated some bullshit about Vice President Pence using a private email while he was governor. It is legal. An STFU. You know what I mean? Lieutenant General Michael Kelly, Attorney General Sessions, and Vice President Pence are not their target. It has been and always will be President Trump. Everyone else are simply pawns. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer aren't as dumb as they look. For crying out loud, did you know that Chuck Schumer actually scored a perfect 1600 on his SAT scores back in high school? He's actually quite bright. The word used today is the Democrats are going overboard. Yes, they are. This is where us patriots need to start bringing in the independents, moderates, and conservatives that didn't vote for Trump initially, but are more sick of what the Democrats are doing than sick of President Trump. Use that as the worst case scenario, us versus them. Hopefully you can sit and talk to them as rational people. Get them involved. Point out now how Pelosi, John Lewis, he's drifted back into his insecurity. Civil rights icon, we're supposed to say. Civil rights icon, John Lewis, who has the perpetually aggrieved look on his face. What is it? Always. Point out how Pelosi, Lewis, Booker, where is this? Waters. Maxine Waters. Really, I don't think anyone takes her seriously. Schumer and the rest of them clowns are so biased, they can see the good, they can't see the good in what the president is doing. Giovanni Baracelli continues, never let up. Strive for 5. I like that. Convert 5 people who were never voters prior to this election, or those that voted for anyone other than Donald Trump. Educate them and never give up. Never. It is literally up to us patriots. By the way, I don't like the word patriots. I happen to have been born on an Air Force base, but I did not serve in the military. I just didn't. I don't like using. I think that's a bare minimum to use the term patriots. You know, I just have not been on the line dying for my country. Some may appreciate what I actually do, and chances are I probably would have been if I had been drafted in the military in that kind of capacity, but I don't know. Patriots? Hold on. Patriots, not really me. And I just lost this darn snow, precipitation. I had a good part of this, too. Okay, it is literally up to us patriots. There is a solution. Only one solution, so listen up. You have to put up with this disruptive crap for the next year and a half, but in 2018, we vote Republicans in the Senate across the board, period. I know you're going to get some comments back about that, but we also vote Republicans in the House as well. Start finding out who the Republican senator that is possibly going to run in your state. There are 33 senators that will run in 2018. I have another article on the senators up for election. Read it. Find out who the congressman in your district is that is running for a U.S. House seat. If they are a Democrat, start looking to replace them now. Start looking for a qualified Republican opponent. Bring your friends, family to the polls. Don't let them win, period. Period. Again, disclaimer, Giovanni, idealistic, but a lot of these are safe seats, but not all of them. We as patriots cannot sit back and allow this crap to happen. We cannot, my fellow American patriots. We need to start being very vocal and start gathering our voters by the millions. During the next 2 years, these a-holes are going to try and disrupt the Trump administration every single day, just like Steve Bannon said, but many Republicans aren't open to it. They aren't catching on. They aren't concerned enough. Open your darned eyes. It's happening and happening whether this stuff is true or not. The Democrats don't care, but we better start caring, and we better start caring now. And that's from Giovanni Baracelli. Thank you again, Giovanni. And you can find his stuff at Punch News at thepunchnews.blogspot.com. Don't forget the before Punch News, so it's thepunchnews.blogspot.com. And you know what? I'm frustrated that I'm seeing this beautiful area. No sunrise again, but y'all can't because the camera focused on me. So I'm going to turn this around and so you sat through all that. You can see, what is this? The Manlove Homestead. Yeah, I know it sounds like a gay bar. It's not. And this is something called the Prickly Pear Valley. I'm surprised prickly pears grow here. You associate them with like a climate more like Israel's. The mountains you can't even see anymore because it's gotten too overcast. Okay, there you go. Here's one for you. And then I'll give you a view of East Helena, Montana, which is its own municipality. That's rather pretty. And one more 180, and then we're done. Thanks for watching, and tune in for my midday report. Take care.